hosting a New Year's Eve celebration on one of our beautiful Oceania cruise ships somewhere around the world. Well, this year I'm very proud to be hosting the Really Big Broadcast 2020 virtual New Year's Eve celebration. 3 spectacular performances with stand-up comedian Tom Drake, legendary comedy magician John Ferrantino, and singer-impressionist Paul Edison. To top off the event, a dance through the decades with our very own DJ, BJ Odom. And I even have a few new jokes for you. So join us New Year's Eve, December 31st, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for an excellent New Year's Eve celebration right in your own home. To join us, visit the website www.bestatsearadio.com or simply click on the link below. Happy New Year!
You're listening to Best at Sea Radio.
Yo, what's poppin'? This is Shaq Diesel. You're listening to the Real Big Broadcast. Almost big as me. With my main man, Jay the DJ.
Coming to you live from the Best at Sea Entertainment Studios in sunny Central Florida, this is the Really Big Broadcast with Tom Drake, legendary comedy magician John Ferrantino, the producer Donnie Colassa. I'm PJ Odom, the voice of Best at Sea Radio, and joining us today on this Next Guest Please Thursday will be Oceania Cruise Line Cruise Director Sean Carter, founding partner of Shack Fu Radio, Gentry Thomas, and Warren Berkowitz, founder of Forum Novelties, the largest novelty company in the world. And now, here's the guy who believes that the big broadcast without a little mistake would be a real novelty, Tom Drake.
How about that? That was a pretty good opening, I must admit. I might have stopped it a little too short, but I left the applause out. But we're getting there. By the end of the
novelty
year,
part.
by the end of the year, we should be in good shape. We should be in good shape. Busy next guest Thursday. Welcome to the big broadcast. That's a legendary comedy magician John Ferrantino, hard at work on his lighting or something. His t-shirt.
Hey,
he got his.
DJ, you better talk to the mailman.
6 minutes after the hour. Couple quick things, real fast. This Costa Schmeralda. Who the hell names this ship?
Schmeralda.
Sounds like a Disney villain.
It does, doesn't it?
How about the Schmeralda? How about the Schmeralda? Smera. Smeralda. Anyway, I know with this princess medallion, I mentioned it on air before. I was on a princess ship, and they gave me this medallion to wear around my neck, or you could buy a wristband for it right on your wrist. I said, what do you do with that? It's how you get your drinks. It's how you shop. It's how you do everything. How you get on and off the ship. You just have this medallion. We're in the staff cabin, so it didn't open and close our door, but it opens and closes your doors too. It's amazing technology. And you would go up to the bar, order a drink. I'll have a Bacardi and Diet Coke. The guy would put a reader up. You'd hit it with the medallion, and that was it. You never signed for anything. And I always wondered about that. People could come up and say, I didn't order that. I didn't order that. Well, the amount of labor involved in ringing it up, writing it, storing it, made it sensible to have this thing. They're very cool. So now they've come up with this. And what have I said? Every day, private industry. Now, I don't know that we would like this in the U.S. There is a privacy issue, but I guess if you wear this disc, and you're anywhere near someone that has it, or
was it exposed to it? I thought she said, I don't know.
It'll set off an alarm or something. I don't know. I know on Princess, there's different levels of medallions. And if you have like the platinum gold medallion, it means you've cruised like 10,000 years. It's like Star Wars. If they hold it up, the poor guests have to get out of the way. They can walk in the men's room, hold it up, you have to go. Even if you're going, you have to go. I swear to God, they cut the lines. These people walk around flashing this thing as if it's some kind of laser, and people step aside. Oh no, one of those again. They hate them. The people that have had like 10 cruises hate the people that have had 100 cruises because they walk around flashing this thing. By the way, 100 cruises on Princess is about 6 cruises on Oceania. But anyway, I think it's pretty cool. It's another way to protect yourself, except for you get a couple of drunks. They walk past the guy and it goes off. Next thing you know, they're tackling the guy. They got rope around his. We got him. We got the guy. He's got it right here. Look, I feel his head. It's 104 already. Get him out of here. They'll be throwing people overboard. We think you have it. Get off. KHNS Radio. Skagway's economic record will be, there'll be one less diamond shop in that place. That's all that about. And BJ went and had blood work done, and you're back. Everything went smooth with your phlebotomist.
Yeah, she was very good. And I don't like them when they go, "You're gonna feel a little prick," and then they go in.
Yeah,
she just did it. She just did it. Didn't say nothing. You're not surprised. I told my wife when I got back to the car, I go, "That's like the best phlebotomist I've ever had."
Wow. Those are words you don't want to hear in the locker room, anyway.
I know. I was trying not to go there.
Okay, you're gonna feel a little pinch.
Anyway, so Dr. Speece is with us tomorrow and the usual cast of characters. The Friday free-for-all and a special surprise. You don't want to miss tomorrow's show, especially later on in the morning. You want to stick around for that. Even if you have something to do, cancel it. I don't care what it is because
I may have to double check that 3 times today.
So let's get right to this. I got everything else covered. Don't forget the website. We constantly, every day it's updated. Everything is on there now. Individual interviews are on there. The shows are on there. On the podcast, the shows are there. There's no excuse if you can't stick around for the second hour of the day, which is going to be, starting 10:30, very busy. You can catch it later on the website, on Vimeo, on Facebook. So shut up if you tell me you never. Today is National Shawarma Day.
Shawarma Day.
Shawarma Day. Dottie, this is a big deal for you. You don't know what shawarma is? No?
Must cook it.
Shawarma is Middle Eastern cooking. Cooking on the best way I can describe it is if you go, I don't want to sound like Tom Ogden, but if you go to Istanbul and you order pita, they, how they have that thing of lamb that revolves like they do here and they cut it with a knife. And in Istanbul, they cook it that same way, but they have pounded in wood. So it kind of smokes it and cooks it. It's glowing wood. So it's spices, it's Middle Eastern, it's Egyptian actually, and it started because a guy brought his business to Canada, and it's become a big thing.
And now it used to be just lamb, but now it's lamb, it's beef, it's chicken.
Yeah.
And there is a place in Seattle that I used to go to get Dottie a falafel, and I forget the name of it. It's a franchise type place. It's around the corner from the Subway, and I would go into this place, and I would just stand there and be amazed. It was spotless. Yeah. I mean, everything with these guys were, and I told the owner, I said, this is unbelievable because around the corner was a Subway that I swear a homicide was committed an hour before I got there. And you wonder why Subway franchises are banging up everywhere. You go in the Subway, the door had finger marks all down it. When you open a place at 10 in the morning, the first thing you do is wash the window. You wash the window. And that's the first thing people see. And you go in the place, forget it. The service was horrendous. Everything was awful. I went in there one time and I said to the guy, "Is that bread today?" And he goes, "No, it's yesterday's." I said, "It's a Subway. You bake fresh every day." "Yeah, I didn't bake yet." I go, "Well, you can't, then you don't have a bread." He goes, "Yeah, it's right here." I go, "No, that's yesterday's bread. This is Subway. You don't do this." And so I left and I went down 3 blocks to another Subway where they actually had the bread ready. Every franchise is different. That's what's killing them. But this falafel place, I just love to go in there. They're so friendly. I didn't like the food. Dottie,
the gyros were excellent.
Gyro, that's
that and the tzatziki.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you said falafel, I go, that's not really part of the holiday.
It's a gyro.
It's got to be meat.
What's a falafel? I don't even know what
falafel is. Like chickpeas that are ground up with spice and they're deep fried. They're delicious. Absolutely delicious.
Can you put them in the air fryer? We did
probably.
We did cheeseburgers last night.
And French fries.
Really?
Air fryer, very good last night. BJ, did you order one?
I believe we have to go to Lakeland today, and our plan is on the way home from Lakeland, we're going to go to the Kohl's right by us and get your exact same one.
Well, now you can get it anywhere. Just if they have the good coupon if you have a coupon.
Yeah, I just returned something a couple days ago, so I got the rest of the week to get 25% off.
Perfect.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah, an Amazon return.
We should order something. I
we
think
haven't had anything.
Is that what you do? You get a 25% return if you bring it to Amazon?
Well, you get a 25%
I mean,
coupon
to Kohl's. Kohl's is really far from me.
Is it?
It's around the corner for us.
Yeah, I have a UPS on the corner, so I just go there.
I'm sorry. I bought a lot of things in my lifetime, but I can't not believe you just put it in the box. You get the little barcode, give it to the lady. She smiles, doesn't even look in there to make sure it's even in the box you give her.
If you have more than one,
it's a here 25% off coupon.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
See now that. See, Jan wants one. We're going to get it from our Kohl's, but I think we should order something from
cash.
Amazon. Send it back to get the one. That's terrible. That's not how you do things. It's National Anesthesia. How the hell do you say anesthesia?
I was saying that BJ should say that tomorrow. DJ's got to say that tomorrow in the opening.
It's esthetician.
Anesthesiologist? Anesthesia? I can say that. Anesthesia.
Esthetician.
That's not anesthesia.
Esthetician.
Hair out of your face or something?
No,
it's skin care, aromatherapy.
Anything that happens.
I need one of those. I need a Assista or whatever the hell it is.
Steiner's,
yeah.
Look, this is where they froze me the other day. I got one on my nose, got one over here.
Well,
we saw that. I'm trying to drink my coffee. Thanks.
Better that than the alternative, BJ.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually, the camera, I have a big monitor and the camera's in front of the monitor. And I put the camera right in front of BJ so I don't have to look at all the nicks and fruits. Otherwise, I don't
understand. I just went on social media because on my monitor, I look like Casper the Ghost. On social media, I look fine. Tom looks like a tomato. And he's like really bright red. And you guys look perfect. And on my monitor, you guys look perfect. But I don't understand.
You look a little white.
I look white.
I'm looking here on Facebook. You look like Ernest Hemingway. Now.
How's that better? I had a little color.
I actually have one of my lights a little bright. I see that now. So, but before I looked terrible. So
I had no hair a little while ago. My hair was, I couldn't get my hair to.
I don't know. I can't get it today.
BJ's color has been the last week has been his lighting has been perfect. He's got $2.
My lighting isn't good today, but I was have to go on knowledge of research.
What do you got invested? $22 in your lighting?
No, I got the light that you let me borrow, and I got the light that was like $22. It's like a gooseneck. It's got a light on it, and it just attaches right to my desk.
He looks good. Dottie looks good, but Dottie's face, her head was missing.
My head was missing.
We had to readjust the light.
I had my computer fixed last night remotely from a guy in New York.
Really?
And found out that Bill J knows a guy. Bill J knows a guy named Fink. He's got no first name, no last name. His name is Fink.
How'd you pay Fink?
I paid Fink with a check to cash today. But he took my computer remotely and told me that one of my problems were that the 2 RAM banks in it weren't working. I was running off just the internal RAM. Somebody put the wrong RAM in the computer when I brought it to the Geek Squad.
Wow.
And cleaned up all the files. The thing, I turned it on this morning, boom, it came right up. I was very happy.
Wow.
Right now they're hacking it in Estonia.
Everything you had on your computer.
Make sure your credit card didn't have any screen.
Everything.
Today is National I Love Lucy Day. Pretty obvious.
Hey, Lucy.
It's about the TV show. Yeah. You know that Lucy, here's 2 little facts. Lucy only ever signed an autograph that said, I love Lucy.
I didn't know that.
And there's a circus called the No Elephant Circus, which is all the like the equity players and circus, all equity players from Broadway, from Barnum and stuff. And every year they do a big charity at the UN and to raise money for world peace or something. I don't know. And so she was supposed to do it, and then she got sick and she couldn't do it. So they asked me to do it in her place.
Wow.
And I'm sure people were very disappointed. But she sent me a signed poster with her name on it. Said, I love Lucy, which is really cool.
Very impressive.
I got that hanging. And when I was a kid, my dad was taking family trip to California. We all flew first class and we rented a car and we were going through one of the lots. And this lady was behind us honking the horn because we were like, where's the movie stars? The movie stars. And then she just kind of, I don't know if she gave us the finger or not because I don't really remember. I was pretty young, but she just held her hand on the horn and zipped by us. And it was Lucy in a convertible. Like trying to get to work and we were holding her up.
It's quite a story. They produced that show themselves because no one really believed in it. They went out, they put it together. They found a sponsor. They were the first to film 3 cameras, 35 millimeter cameras. They were amazing. They did. Hollywood said no, and they said we'll do it on our own. They did it. They ended up with 80% of Desilu, which eventually she owned.
And they were like the first ones to get residuals, right?
Yeah, they owned
because they owned the company. Yeah,
they owned it, and they did it all themselves. They hired the production team. They went out and find the sponsors because in the beginning, no one wanted a Cuban guy. They thought it was terrible that a Cuban guy would be in love with a Caucasian woman. And
I know, and they had to go to those meetings. He had to pitch Babalu. Is that what he said?
But they still had to sleep in twin beds.
Yeah.
And William Frawley, who played the neighbor,
Fred McMurray, right? Fred McMurk. What was his last name?
Fred Mertz.
Ethel.
Yeah.
Fred and Ethel.
Fred and
Mertz
Ethel.
or Mertz?
Mertz, I think.
Mertz.
He was a big drunk, and he had agreed to a rehab while the
Really?
Yeah, it was a terrible drinking problem. And the other woman that played his wife, she was 22 years younger, much prettier, so they dressed her up like a bag lady, so it wouldn't seem so weird that an old guy had a young woman. And there's a whole backstory to this thing. And
it's funny if you look at some of the old headshots of Lucille Ball, she was beautiful.
Yeah, she was a model.
She was absolutely gorgeous, you know.
And then nobody took her serious as an actress. But today is National Grouch Day. Self-explanatory.
Yeah, just if you want to be grouchy, you're allowed to be grouchy today.
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna reserve that for tomorrow.
I read an article where it says men become grouchy at the age 55.
I can believe that.
Could be.
I don't know why, but 55, then all of a sudden we become grumpy.
BJ, all the years I've known you, I've never really known you to be grumpy.
That's my wife.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true. This is radio, television, so you are portraying a role. You might be a miserable son of a. No, we don't know. Behind the scenes.
You may be like a serial killer. We don't even know it.
A serial killer and winner.
He was such a kind man.
He kept to himself.
Just because the neighbor stole his big broadcast T-shirts, dismember him and put him in the bed.
Pushed him over the edge before he went on the spree.
It is we got to. You know what? There's 5 left.
There's a lot of them.
National Latino AIDS Awareness Day. Well, pretty self-explanatory. National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. Why would you? I get it.
Well, that one was brought actually by Reagan, and the women, this group of women petitioned 50 states for this holiday. And it's just to bring remembrance, and which I didn't realize. Pretty interesting. They say 1 out of 4 babies die.
I don't know.
That's 1 out of 4.
Wow.
And so it's to bring awareness to prenatal care, and it's a pretty cool holiday, I guess.
BJ was one of the other 3. He made it. So he made it a lot longer than they ever predicted.
I thought that was shocking. 1 out of 4.
Yeah,
it is.
There are people that are planted now that predicted that BJ would be planted, and they've been planted before he was. He's gone to see him get planted. He's still standing. National White Cane Safety Day. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's a big awareness to people that are blind that you don't hit them and
why white
them over and help them because they wear white canes. That's how you know a person's blind.
That's an indication.
With the red tip.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's why they need the holiday.
Bring more awareness.
Because
I was going to say white canes matter, but they do matter.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
I could just really quick. I was in the hospital once, and my roommate was blind, and he was saying how lucky he was because he had glaucoma and he had sight up till the age of 15. So he said that he was so much luckier than somebody else that was blind because if someone says a car, he knows what a car looks like. Jeez. Where if you're blind, you would have no idea. This guy lived by himself in New York City, went to NYU, became a lawyer, and just had like the most normal. He had the most beautiful girlfriend I've ever seen. And I used to say, "Your girlfriend is so beautiful," and he goes, "What a waste." He was the coolest guy I ever met. But the fact that he could live in the city, he took the subway, he did everything. He went to, I go, "You be a lawyer?" He goes, "Yeah, it's blind justice." He was so funny, but yeah, he was amazing person, you know.
I can't imagine.
I can't even.
But when you're 15, I guess it's easier than if you were 55 and had to learn to start over again. But still,
well, he says no. The people that are born blind have no idea what a car is, has no idea what a house looks like, and you know, it's pretty wild.
I've heard that from a blind guy I knew too. He had sight when he was younger, and he says was really a blessing that he had sight because he knows when people are talking about things.
Yeah.
It's National Get Smart About Your Credit Day. Skip over that one. Hey, Get to Know Your Customers Day. We don't have any. What is Get Smart About Your Credit? Be smart about it.
Just be careful that you don't open up too many credit cards. It'll lower your credit score.
Hey.
To go into your credit score every once in a while, because there are things in there that should not be there, which lowers your credit score.
Like all those credit cards. All right. It's 27 minutes after. How many birthdays, Daddy?
7.
All right, we'll go fast. Really fast. Like the birthdays. Sarah, Duchess of York, was married to Andrew. Enough said about that. Larry Miller, Long Island boy.
Hate him.
Hate him?
Hate him.
Okay.
This is the God's honest truth. 3 TV shows I've been on. I've had to follow him. And he says he's doing this 12 stages of being drunk. Yeah. He tells them that we all have 5.5 minutes to 6 minutes. The bit runs 8.5 minutes. I know because I've done it 3 times with him. And every time he runs the entire bit, I'm on after him and they go, "You're going to have to cut 2 minutes."
Yeah.
So yeah.
We hate him.
Hate him. Hated it.
Richard Carpenter, we like him. He's still alive. I thought he was dead. Penny Marshall, she's dead. She was born in 1943. Barry Maguire, Eva Destruction.
The Eastern world, it is exploding. Violence flare and bullets loading. You're old enough
Woodstock?
You're old enough to die, but not for voting.
This is back to back because you've got Barry Maguire, then you got Lee Iacocca, who really designed the Mustang. He was the man behind the Mustang
and the
minivan,
minivan,
and also the Cougar were all his, and the K car. But
he invented older women?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
He used to do commercials, right? Hi, this is Lee Iacocca.
Yeah. He single-handedly saved the auto industry for a while, certainly with Chrysler in the second. He was Ford first, then Chrysler. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when he was at Ford, he suggested the minivan. They said, "Get the hell out of here. Nobody wants a minivan." So when he went to Chrysler, they started the minivan. Hello. That worked out pretty good. Whatever. Other than that, Wayne Gretzky, all-time, today was the day he scored. Now, no one's close, right?
Self-proclaimed great one.
Yeah, but he's
called him in New York. No one's even close. This is one interesting fact on Wayne Gretzky's. I know we're going quick. Wayne Gretzky's trademark was he'd always have his jersey tied up on one side. That was his trademark from the day that he practiced. So when Wayne Gretzky was a kid, he was so good that he had to play in leagues like 3 older than him. You know what I mean? Like when he was 12, he was playing with the 16-year-olds. And the jerseys were so big that they would come down to his knees. They would tie him in a knot. Yep. When he got to the NFL, they got him like 6X jerseys and tied him in a knot because that was the way he got used to playing his whole life. I think it's pretty cool. You know?
Yeah, I listened to an interview with him and Bob Costas once in the car. I was in the car listening to it. Very humble man. Explained how difficult it was for him to play hockey as a kid because he always played with older kids. They hated him. His parents had to sue, actually. They had to sue to get him in the league. They had to move from where they were to another place because they hated him where he was, all because he could kick their ass. He's a 12-year-old, and he was running circles around 17, 18-year-old kids. So he didn't really proclaim himself as a great.
No, the media did, but for some reason, during the big reign of the Islanders, they had his number. He scored 1 point. So every time they would introduce him, the whole crowd would go, "The self-proclaimed great one." Because it's New York.
Nothing wrong with that because I'm the self-proclaimed not so great. On your title. Hold on. Fix this button here. Go here. Hit that. Brought that up. I'm describing it for our radio fans. Go, Dottie.
I'm just calling. Wish you happy birthday.
Now.
And our birthdays today brought to you by the Snoot Factory for all the latest in pooch fashions. Happy birthday goes out to Dr. Dave. Dr. Dave Plourd's birthday is today, a friend of the big broadcast. So happy birthday, Dr. Dave. What was that?
I'll see him Saturday.
Oh, okay. Hester Pelowitz, an Oceana guest that we met on our last contract. Happy birthday, Hester. Daniel Goody, one of our cast members as well at Oceana Cruises, formerly with NCL, but now with Region 7 Seas. Sean Tupman. Happy birthday, Sean. We hope you have a wonderful day. From Slovakia, Thomas Duncan. Also, comedian Kathy Ladman. And from Illinois, Miriam Derman, all celebrating their birthday today. So a very happy birthday from all of us. And of course, Jan from the Snoot Factory for all the latest in pooch fashions and fabulous facial masks. www.thesnootfactory.com. Back to you, Tom.
And Sean, hang in there because we're going to do Stupid Criminals. We're doing everything today. We're staying on. Hold on. Push that button. Start doing. Get him out of the way.
Now, as Best at Sea Radio and the Big Broadcast presents Stupid Criminals with John Barentino.
All right.
In Tempe, Arizona, a 17-year-old broke into an apartment bedroom at Arizona State University. He managed to steal several $100s in miscellaneous items and cash before falling asleep on the bedroom floor. That's where the female student found him when she woke up at 5 a.m. He quickly fled the scene with the victim, didn't get a clear look at his face. She did see the monkey prints on his pajamas that he was wearing at the time. As a result of the description, she gave the police a Tempe police officer thought it sounded like a person that they once had in custody. It sounds like he must have still been wearing pajamas. And he headed to the man's apartment. Though the man pretended to be asleep as they rapped on the door several times, he answered the door wearing monkey pajamas, was immediately arrested. They might say the man made a monkey of himself.
Hey.
I didn't write that joke. That was in the end of the article.
I'm just thinking he left he didn't leave footprints. He left if they have the feet in them.
Footies.
Yeah. But he does that because he can stealthily sneak in and sneak out. But I guess you get exhausted robbing somebody. Just kind of wears you out.
Here's a 3-sentence one. Okay. A man was arrested and questioned about a string of vending machine break-ins. At first, the police really didn't have enough evidence to charge him with the crime till he paid his $400 bail in quarters.
One genius after another. It is 34 minutes after the hour. I like saying that. And we're going to bring a guest in here now. And Dottie, you can tell us all about our guest as he logs in.
Absolutely. This is one of our Oceana Cruise directors. He is a vocalist, has a beautiful voice. He loves to dance, according to Michelle anyway. And he is also a photographer. He has a photography business as well. This is Sean Carter. Sean, hello.
Hello, everybody. How are you, Dottie?
Great,
you guys have cool backgrounds. I'm in my mom's den right now.
That's okay.
That's all right.
You know, Tom, BJ Odom is a 40-year radio veteran, and John Ferrantino, a comedy magician. He's been with Oceana a couple times, but John and I go back about 28 years from Norwegian Cruise Line, our Diamond Norwegian
excellent.
Cruise Line.
John
So how are you?
John is a legendary comedy magician. BJ used to do radio. Now he does this.
Right. Hustling for a gig.
And Tom's in charge of the wires.
Yeah, and I'm in charge of the wires. That's what we're doing. I'll ask the first question. I always do. Everybody that comes on who's in the business, were you on a ship when we all were sent home, or were you home?
Yeah, I was actually on the ship. I was on the Regent Voyager. Yeah, and basically we were told that things were gonna change in around the middle of February, and then I basically had to make an announcement February 22nd that everyone's getting off, or the 21st, that everyone was going to get off and was going to be flown home in Lam Shabang in Thailand.
Oh.
And then we had about 17 sea days or so. We ended up in Abu Dhabi. We were denied a couple of ports, but then we got into Abu Dhabi. I actually was able to get off mid-March and get home, and I made it through okay. I didn't have any major issues. I mean, I kind of self-quarantined and did all that stuff. But yeah, it was a little stressful. It was very interesting being on board when all this was happening.
So now Carson got delayed in Dubai for like 2 months.
Yeah, he did. Well, what happened too was a really dear friend of mine that I've had for about 30 years unfortunately passed away. So I was supposed to leave like the 17th, but I asked if I could fly out on the 16th, and I got out that day, and then they shut down the airport and all the other stuff. But or else I would have slipped on there as well.
But your cruise ended in February, not in March. They cut it.
Yeah,
short.
Our cruise ended. We got all the guests off in February. The end of February.
That wasn't the end of the cruise, was it?
No, it was midway. It was actually midway through my second cruise on Voyager. I had signed on in January, and I think the first cruise was maybe 21 days or so, and the second cruise was supposed to be around that as well. And we were about halfway through the second cruise.
Wow.
Regent. We love Regent 7 Seas. We'll never go there. They won't put us there.
That was my first one. That was my first one ever. It was nice. It was different. But I think there are, good things, and I wouldn't say bad things, but I mean, this is a different experience.
It's free liquor over there.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad thing. I'm not going to lie. That didn't suck.
And that's why they will not let me go there. I'm not allowed to go there.
Right.
They go, we either got to buy gas or Tom's booze.
Yeah. They don't want to lose the revenue. Oh, no shit.
They don't know who they're dealing with.
Actually, I don't know that that's the case, but it was the case when Michael Day was our boss. He said, "No, Drake, I'm not putting you over there. No, I'm worried about your liver as it is. I'm not putting you on a ship where you drink for free day and night." So now with Pam, we've asked actually, but I think they prefer Donnie on Oceana. I don't know why.
But she's a cult leader. Yeah. She has a whole cult of people that follow her. It's amazing to me.
Maybe that's what they're worried about. They don't want Dottie dragging them away from Oceana. We'd like to keep that separation. There's a little separation. You have your Oceana people, and then you have your region.
So you are in Orlando now visiting with your mom. You used to live here up until we were going to get together, and then you moved.
Yeah, well, I was kind of staying here for just a little bit, but I'm helping my mom out. But yeah, I just drove down 2 days ago. I live in Northern Kentucky, which is where I grew up, right across the river from Cincinnati. So I am coming down here, staying here for a few days, and then I'm actually heading to Palm Springs to hang out with my best friend for about 4 days and coming back here for a day or so, and then driving back, stopping in Charlotte to do a little photography work on the way back home.
I can really scare you. Concerned about getting on a plane?
I mean, yes, I'm a little trepidatious, but I'm like, I got my mask ready. I have my sanitizer spray ready. I mean, you do the best you can.
And you're young.
Yeah, I am young adjacent. I am not really young, but
compared to this group, you're young. This group is at risk just being in separate rooms. Forget an airplane, but with the middle seat. So
my daughter says almost everyone on the plane has a mask and a shield.
Yeah,
so that you know.
Yeah. Well, I may take one. But we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Like my daughter looked like she had a beekeeper's outfit on.
Sure, you can find a Mickey Mouse one.
Only because she couldn't find a diving suit to wear.
She had a wetsuit on under her clothes.
Like Lloyd Bridges. So we've been doing this. Everybody hears the story when we have guests. I had nothing to do when I was annoying Dottie, and BJ Odom's son is very successful in internet radio. In fact, he's joining us in the next hour. He's the founder of Shaq Fu Radio, among other operations. And I thought, well, that sounds like a fun thing to do. And 2 weeks into it, John came on as a guest, and he said, I'm not busy. So he hung out. And then BJ was involved in another program, but the radio station went in a different direction. And he had nothing to do. And at first he just dropped in, and then he kept dropping and nobody wanted to tell him otherwise. So we let him stay. And then I don't know how Dottie ended up dragged into this once and for all. Dottie didn't want to.
I was always off air.
Yeah, Dottie wanted to be off air because she doesn't really like to talk, Sean. You know that.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very quiet to herself.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
So we've been doing this ever since, and we love having everybody from the business on. We've had who we had on it. Oh, by the way,
John and Carson and Paul.
John and Paul and Leslie John yesterday said he absolutely wants to come on the show as a guest. So
yeah,
excellent. Oh, good.
We go well. Leslie and John go back when there were sales on ships.
Leslie was one of my first cruise directors when I worked for Oceania back in the day as a performer. And he had produced and helped create those shows that were, I think it was called Bookmarks and Ovations and Salute, the original Salute.
Yeah.
So, and then I was his assistant for a while doing some handovers and things like that. So, yeah, I know him very well.
I know when he was a singer on the Norway.
Oh, wow.
That goes back to what year, Sean?
That was 2006 was the first time.
So that was before I started in 2008 with those.
Well, Margaret got me the job. I was actually doing a Blues Brothers review show at Universal Studios in Osaka, and my contract was coming up, and she called and said, hey, one of the guys that they were going to use has backed out. Would you be interested in coming back out on a ship? And I was like, sure. So they sent me the music, and then they flew me to basically Mark Freeman's house, to Mong's house. To Florida, and then I would go rehearse with him, and then Michael Day would come in and listen at the end of the day, and and then I went on the ship and worked, and I guess we were called the entertainment team back then. Yeah, there were just four of us.
That's where I think all the shows were rehearsed back then, because I think Lisa Rooney was as well a performer.
You were called the entertainment team that had to do those three shows.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly.
There. Oh God.
Every time they still play that "Your World Your Way" promo, I'm one of the singers in that, and Margaret.
Really?
I'm like, I think they paid us in tiramisu or something.
All right, now I'm interested. Always conversations go in a direction. How does one end up in a Blues Brother review show in Osaka, Japan? How did that happen?
Well, for many, many years, I was just a performer and doing musical theater and cruise ships and theme parks, like all over. And I was working as a production singer for Celebrity, and I'd had a gig that I was going to. So I was literally in Orlando just visiting my mom and my older brother for a while. And I saw a post for it, for the audition for Japan, and then they had it at a studio in Orlando, and I went and didn't think anything of it. I mean, they kept making cuts, and then I knew when I was with all the short stocky guys, that they were like looking at me for that role, so but we were there all day. It was about like 8 hours, and I went on the ship gig that I had booked, and then in December I got a call, and said I got the job. So I ended up leaving that contract early to go, and they basically flew me to Osaka, and it was a really long contract. It was I think the first one was 13 months, maybe.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. And
you were John Belushi?
I was, yeah.
Did you have to do it in Japanese?
We did some of the dialogue. All of the music was, the Blues Brothers tunes, but then some of the dialogue, they would mix it up. But it was a lot of fun. But Osaka, they get all 4 seasons. It was an outdoor venue. So, in the summer, you're sweating to death. And we're wearing, lots of layers. So they fit you with like a little fat pod if you're not quite the size. And they were, in the beginning, they were dyeing all the guys' hair, like, black. Anybody that was a Jake or an Elwood character. But then they noticed that anybody that was from the States, our hair was falling out in droves because the peroxide in the hair dye there was so much stronger.
Oh my gosh.
So then they gave up on that. But it was a lot of fun. And I ended up taking a break and then doing another contract after that a couple of years later.
In Japan?
Yeah, in Osaka.
And how many shows a day?
You did mainly 4, and then some days you did 5, but they were like 35-minute sets.
Oh, okay.
And there were 2 casts. So sometimes you were the morning shift and then you were out by, 1:30 or 2. And then other times you were the evening shift. So
okay. So you didn't do all 4 shows a day.
Yes. Yeah. You do. Well, you would do 4 shows. The other team comes on, but it was a great gig. You you had 2 days off in a row. So, I mean, you worked 5 days a week. You had 2 days off. They had a very generous bonus structure, and they gave you a bicycle and a phone, and everyone had their own little 1-bedroom apartments where we lived. It's a place called Kaigendori House, which is still there. They house all of the talent, and they brought in a tutor for the first month so you could kind of learn the basics, Yeah,
but I still think the 2 Japanese Blues Brothers would be better. John, Elwood as a Japanese guy. I don't know why.
It was fun.
We had somebody on last week, Frankie Baraka, who was spent 4 years in Japan on a TV show, and he could still speak some Japanese. Do you also remember any of it?
Basic, like words, and I can sort of ask directions, and where's the bathroom kind of stuff. Like I can do still. Those come to mind. When I went back for my second contract, I was kind of studying a little bit more, but it's been so many years. I mean, that's 14 years ago, so not so much.
But you got to do something. Most people spend a year in Japan and have a lot of Japanese food, I guess. And
it was fantastic.
And Facebook notes. Hello from Karen and Bill Pollock.
Well, hello, Karen and Bill. And she had a birthday.
She did just on Monday.
She doesn't know. Hold on. She knows nothing about songs. If you want to not give away big O points, have a name tattoo. Karen.
I tell you, well, you know that they are very big trivia buffs. So we always had a lot of fun.
And also a message from Ellie and Steve Koss. Sean was our cruise director last year, 7-1 to 8-4, Dublin to London. Loved the pre-dinner shows up in Horizons. Did you perform those?
Yeah, I did a few. I think that was the cruise. I can't remember. Well, the one that Karen and Bill were on, we had Alan Kavanagh. Remember the performer, Irish singer? He was on, and we did a set together. So we did a lot of like Simon and Garfunkel and like Van Morrison, a lot of sing along fun songs. That was a really fun cruise.
Oh wow! How often do you perform? Do you always do the upstairs, or do you the main room as well?
I normally do the upstairs sets. I mean, I have done a couple that are like if in case, but I really like singing with the band, and I like the casual atmosphere, and I don't know. I kind of tend to try to get people, after the show up there to do something. So sometimes I'm a draw, and sometimes definitely not. It depends.
Yeah, it depends on the time and how old they are on board. You're doing photography. Is that something you've been doing all along, or did you buy a camera and it came with a book?
No, I started doing photography when I was about 12. I was one of those kids that my parents were trying to get me into something because I wasn't very good at a lot of things, and I was really interested in photography. And my mother was a nurse. She worked with a woman whose husband was a professional photographer. So I started taking lessons, and I would go and learn how to develop the film, and he'd give me assignments. And, so one week it was landscapes, and I go out and shoot a bunch of stuff, and I really enjoyed it. But I kind of, once the DSLR cameras started coming out, I got back into it pretty big time, and have been doing mainly kind of headshots and portrait photography the last decade, I guess.
That's what John is also a photographer, and at one point actually had a studio, didn't you?
Yeah.
You went the whole 9 yards, put the studio together, and he's got
loads of studio equipment for sale.
Very nice.
I realize I can make more money retouching photos than taking them.
Yeah, I do very basic. I always say you're going to be refreshed, but you'll still look like yourself. But I mainly go to a couple studios in North Carolina. Before I went back to be a cruise director, I was working as a booking agent for a talent agency. So I go back and kind of work through those studios. They always have people that need to update their headshots, or people want to do like a LinkedIn photo. So I've been doing that for several years, and it's been a good little side hustle. Let me
tell you, that Portrait Pro, the new version, is amazing.
I have, I don't know, it's not the newest version, but I really enjoy, I have that program. I'll have to check out the new version.
The new version does like raw photos and everything.
Yeah.
Once again,
which means nothing to anybody else.
once again,
Here's my camera's right here. This is my camera right here.
Well, they take great photos. You know, the newer phones are
extremely good. Amazing.
They give you all that blurry bokeh background. And
you shoot with Canon stuff?
Yeah, I have a Canon. I have the 90D. I just got the 90D this past year.
Yeah.
And I use an 85 millimeter portrait lens and a 50.
Right.
Yes, I have something like that. Well, what's funny about this is Wednesdays and Thursdays, John books our 11:30 guests, and John, of course, is a legendary comedy magician, so they're always magicians and
comedians, lots of comedians.
That's true, but we have a lot of what I call rabbits and rope, and it's great though. But sometimes they'll get talking, and that guy did my fake hand. This guy did they start talking about forces and card tricks, and BJ and I just kind of stare at the camera and go, "We'll catch up to it. It's okay." So you have a 90 millimeter and a 50 millimeter lens and a Canon D90. So now I've learned
85 millimeter. Yeah,
it's full frame, Tom.
Oh.
Now can you shoot? Can you shoot ducks with that?
Can you what?
Can you shoot ducks with that 99 millimeter?
You can do anything you need to.
BJ is from Indiana. Used to live on a farm. We'll leave it there.
When I was in college, the big thing was the Canon AE1. That was my first camera, and my gosh, I took it the first 2 years at sea, and I'm like, I'm not lugging all this photography equipment because I had everything in a bag. And
I think we all had those to start with, right?
Yeah, I stopped carrying it after a couple of years.
My problem is I don't have the mind for it, and I also don't read manuals very well, and I'm not really trainable. I stumble through whatever I do, but you really have, there's a lot of things to learn in photography to do it right. I mean,
especially in the new Photoshop.
Yeah,
2020. It's like it's a course in itself.
Yeah, I have that, and I just do the basics. But you ask me to do a white balance on a camera, and I'll leave the room. I have no idea. It's like, it's amazing to me. But
if I have stuff that's out of my wheelhouse, I'll send it off to an agency that just does straight up editing. I'm not too proud to do that. I mean, I try to learn as I go, and I have learned a lot, and I do enjoy the editing process. It's fun, but the stuff I'm doing is very simple. I don't have to do anything too intense. They're just, portraits, and
it's a joke I've had in my act for a while now, because, every once in a while you get an email from a certain person, update your headshots. We have to have this. It's going to go in the box. Now no one knows what I'm talking about. It's going to go in this magic box that evaporates.
That's the size of like a postage stamp on the website.
No, it's something they have that they created at Oceana where it's all stored. Try to find it. And any case, and same with Princess. They scream and update it. And I walk on and my headshots from 18 years ago. Or 12 years ago, it's really old. So I go on stage and I tell people, I said, I realize that headshot is, it's probably at least 10 years old. I'll tell you the story. I went to get a new one, a very famous photographer. He told me it was going to be $1,000 for the headshot. I go, that's a lot of money. He said, but once I do the shoot, I will Photoshop it and I'll make it look 10 years younger. And I'm like, I already got that photo. What do I need you for? So I get that photo. I just say,
yeah, you don't need it. Yeah.
And even here's I'm laughing because I went on Google to try to find a photo of you, a good photo of you. I'm laughing. He's a photographer and he doesn't have a good photo. I couldn't find. I have an okay photo of you, but
I don't have great pictures because it's hard to take pictures of yourself, and we're really fussy.
Well, but John is also a legendary comedy musician. In other words, he's already made it. It's like our friends Fred and Bobby Becker have approximately 1.2 million photos. They have photos of them taking photos. They have photos of them getting photos done. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I have one from 4 years ago. I stole off a video. Looks like him. But I look like
I just did some. Actually, I updated some because I'm signed with a couple of agencies as well. as an actor, you know, so I try to do some gigs on the side, but that's the beauty. Now I can do them myself, and I'm like, oh, if I hate it, I just, you know, delete all of them, you know, until I'm like, I can work with this, you know.
Yeah, we all need to get updated photos, but
yeah, I mean, every few years. I mean, once you're an adult, I mean, you know, if you're not changing dramatically, you could hold on to the same photo for 5 years, I think. You know, a couple of the guys, I did send an email, because if you're like literally had a full head of hair and now you are like Mr. Clean, it's time for a photo, you know, like, or like if it's one guy, and he is so funny, I'm not going to name his name, but his photo literally is just in front of a giant green bush, direct sunlight, and it's like he's like a mole coming out of the, you know, the ground, and like not giving you your best look, you know.
There was a guest entertainer, and I won't mention his name. I mean, the picture was probably 25 years old, full head of hair. He comes out, and they're like, huh?
Yeah, you're like, this is my son. Yeah.
Mine is, you can still tell it's me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you
yeah.
But it's a little, it's for 20 years ago. It's one of them. So,
well, it's still working for you, clearly. So
there you go.
I guess I'm just Mr. Dottie. You know that, Sean.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you're going to go back to a little, and we're all just waiting to find out what happens. And
yeah, I mean, I'm just on standby. I'm hustling. I'm doing gigs. I've booked a couple of acting jobs lately, and it was weird kind of being on set. I just did last week, I booked a little gig for Amazon Freight, playing a truck driver. You know, that's my wheelhouse. I'm like, anything blue collar, I'm good to go. So, but it was a 3-day shoot, literally just pretending to get in and out of a truck and being in the truck. But we had to do some with face masks and then without, and everyone was, you know, practicing social distance on the set. But I've done a couple of those now, and they're doing a good job of that. But yeah, I'm just trying to stay busy. And
well, we have to look for that. We have to start watching.
You've been on a couple shows though. What you were on? I remember seeing you on TV, and was it Grey's Anatomy or?
No, I did Nashville. I did
Nashville. That's right.
I did a series called Shots Fired that was filmed in North Carolina. I did Eastbound and Down.
Yeah, that's a great show.
I was actually in the series finale. I had one line. I was playing the movie version of the principal, the guy.
Right.
So, but yeah, I've done a few of those.
Cool.
Mainly, I do a lot of like kind of regional commercials and things like that.
I remember seeing you on Nashville.
Yeah.
So now, when you audition for the job of an Amazon truck driver, you have to just stand there and give them that. You can't method act, right?
No, you're basically the agent submits you among, you know, hundreds of people, and then they just choose
by
if they
luck.
The right. It's so by luck. I mean, you know, I tell everybody, it's like, if you're interested in this, it's a numbers game. You have to just don't take it personally. You just have to have thick skin, take no for an answer, and be invested enough to where you aren't afraid, you know, to hear no a bunch of times, and then it's your turn, and then it's not your turn for a long time, then it's your turn again, you know. And
because it would be heartbreaking not to get that truck driver gig.
Well, you know, you don't get the money normally until a month or two later, but then you're like, hey, you know, it's a nice, you know, some of them pay very well, and it's nice little extra money to,
Is it a SAG thing?
No, this isn't SAG. The TV stuff I've done, and some commercials have been SAG jobs, but this was a non-union job. I've never joined. I've always lived in, you know, the right to work states, and there's not enough work in those regions to kind of merit joining SAG. If I lived in LA or New York, I would probably join.
Well, look at that.
And if you become SAG and AFTRA, then you can't do those jobs.
Exactly. Then you can't. And, you know, you have to kind of move to, you know, LA when you're a sonogram, you know, it's definitely not an older person's game out there.
No, but here's Amazon hiring non-union people. Let me get a hold of Jeff Bezos.
Now, John and BJ turned it down, but a friend of ours sent a casting call for a male role, anywhere from, I don't know, was it 25 to up, but you have to be comfortable with full nudity
in a
locker room.
Pays $800 a day, though.
900 for 8 hours.
Yeah. Well, they probably let you wear the little, you know, special socks that they have, you know, on sets when that happens. So
yeah, you have to wear the mask.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, otherwise,
where do you wear the mask?
let me tell you something. If I'm in a locker room with other guys, I'm social distancing anyway. So, get out of here.
I've never done a commercial with nudity just yet, so you never know. I'll probably get a diaper commercial down the road where it might be an issue.
Some nudity. Well, we're out of time here, but we sure do appreciate your joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
A lot of fun to catch. I didn't know. I mean, I know Sean Carter, the cruise director, but I didn't know all about the acting and photography. And now we're going to watch and see if we see that Amazon commercial.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have no idea. I don't even know what the usage is. I don't know if it's for their website or, they always tell you you're paid for each time it's, different stuff. So we'll see. When I get a link, I'll send it though. If I see.
Oh yeah, please do.
Very cool.
We'll add it up on the
great
website.
meeting, guys.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Well, I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, what a beautiful day.
Boy, that ended quick. Boy, that's embarrassing, right? Of course I do something wrong when Gentry joins the program. Sure. Well, you know what?
What's up, everybody?
How you doing, Gentry? Let me introduce you properly. Welcome to the program. The founding partner, I found that on the internet, of Shack Fu Radio, but he's also Muddy Country Radio and the Podcast Playground, and the host of Backstage with Gentry Thomas, who just I think, interviewed Rob Reiner, and you've interviewed Kevin Costner, and you've interviewed Michael Cohen and Newt Gingrich, and now somehow your father dragged you into this program. We appreciate you.
Amazing when you have a Jewish agent out in New York, how many things you can get done, So
that's what I need. Anyway, and one other thing, he's the reason I'm sitting here, because I was talking to Gentry is the son of BJ, and I was talking to BJ about internet radio, and I go, boy, that sounds interesting. And here we all sit. So we either thank you for that or whatever. So
yeah, it's an exciting time. I remember I got fired from like my 8th radio job. And so I said to myself, like, why should I continue to work for the man when we could just create our own content? And when I got my first smartphone and I realized that you could listen to your favorite stations from your hometown from anywhere in the world, this new internet stuff was going to change the world. And so I got into it in 2012, and it took me about 7 years to make money doing it. So I've only been making money for a couple of years, year and a half. Owed a lot of people money and a lot of debts. And now here we are. I'm on your big show. So, I've made it. I'm really excited.
Let us start with that. For the people that, don't know how internet radio works, Gentry started with his own station called Muddy Country Radio. And it was programmed for a particular style of country music. But in order to make money, you had to go out and find people that were willing to advertise on your radio station. You were really focused in the Southwest Florida area at the time when you started it, correct?
Yeah, so I had a pretty popular Friday night DJing gig where we would do Daisy Duke contests. We would have big parties. Thousands of people would come out on Friday night at this honky tonk. And so I talked the bar owner into letting us do a live stream from the bar. And so we started broadcasting live from this bar on Friday nights called Cadillac Jack's. And it started to get a buzz. And for me, it was more about just bringing energy to the room. When you're on the mic saying, we're live on the air, everybody. I didn't give a shit that only 3 people were listening. It was more about the 1,000 people that were inside the bar getting the experience that we're live on the air. That, hey, we're live. I would even tell them, in 10 seconds, everybody get quiet. We're going live on the air in 10 seconds. And everybody in the bar is hushing down. The only person listening is my dad, probably at this point. But everybody in the bar is thinking, holy shit, we're about ready to go live on the radio. So I would get the crowd all hyped up. We're going live. And people just, when they hear that, when they're going live on the radio, it still have that magical sound. So we brought energy to this bar. And then I met this beautiful girl one night at the country bar who was dating Shaquille O'Neal. And she thought it was really cool that I had my own radio station and that, we were broadcasting live from this little honky tonk in Fort Myers. And so, it's a long story, but she ended up introducing me to him. And then he kind of put his endorsement on me. And all of a sudden when you got a big name and a big 7-footer like that with your back, you know, it works out. So I'm thankful for him. I owe a lot of my success to him as well.
And that began ShaqFu.com, which is Shaq Fu Radio, which is very, very popular because you have guest DJs. And I don't understand the whole guest DJ business, but it's huge. And they come in, they guest, and they have their own following. And more people listen to ShaqFu.com because of that. And then from there, it went into Podcast Playground, which you now have, which is a platform that runs everybody's podcast, right? Tell us a little about that. I mean, you have everybody from Rachel Maddow to the Fox people running that platform.
Yeah, we created what they call a podcasting directory. So it's a website, Podcast Playground. It's got everybody's podcast on there. And we were able to monetize with some of our own content. You can make more money, but the Rachel Maddows and those we're happy to have them. And you can get all kinds of podcasts at the Podcast Playground. And I just came up with the idea. In radio, you're always trying to come up with these, you know, what's going to catch people's attention. And I thought on the playground when I was a kid, everybody seemed to get along. There was all walks of life on the playground. We didn't really see color. We didn't really judge people too much, you know, maybe for the way they smelled, possibly if they had a bad day on the playground. But I kind of thought, well, let's have a playground where everybody could play and have their podcast. And it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican or your comedy or your news, we could all play on the playground. So it's kind of a fun play on words, and it's kind of caught some attention, and it seems to be working. Lots of people go to the platform to get their podcasts.
And now out of that grew Backstage with Gentry Thomas. And the reason I've heard about Gentry in the business is because his dad, by the way, how is BJ as a father? Is he a decent guy? Because he claims once you turn 55, you become a grouch. But he's a okay dad.
Yeah, he seems to be all right. You know, I can remember listening to you and him on 770. You know, that's probably what inspired me. Before I had pubic hair, you know, I was listening to you guys on 770 AM radio, and I remember that show. So I definitely have some inspiration from the Tom Drake broadcast.
Well,
he definitely was the first automation machine too in broadcasting. When he was like 7 or 8 years old, I would do liners to play between songs and talk up the ramps, and I could go do production in the next room, and he would do like an hour of my show, and I wouldn't even be in the room. That's before automation ever came to radio.
Well, that see, if I would have started at that age, I would have been better on that. I wouldn't have
we would have had 5 people in the box every day without the guests.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have let the music run out. I know that. I was a little short on the music there.
Now, Gentry, did you teach Shaq how to mix music?
I did. He knew a little bit about it because when he was in college, he mixed records for extra money. And plus, he's a showman. When he comes in a room, 7-footer walks in a room, he can't hide. You know, some celebrities can throw a hoodie on and a hat on, and no one will recognize them. With traveling with Shaquille, when he walks by you, you just kind of feel the wind go by, and so people are like, "Oh, what the hell? Who is that?" And so when he's up on stage, he just brings a presence. So it doesn't even really matter if he knows how to mix the records. He's Shaq, you know. So he shows up, puts on.
No one's going to tell him he's doing it wrong.
He was on a flight with us. I forget whether we were going to Barbados or where, and he was in first class as well with us.
Yeah, he says if he flies commercial, he has to fly front row, first seat.
Where he was.
Exactly where he was.
Most of the time we would fly private, which was nice. You know, I'd never flown on a private plane until I met Shaq. So that's the way to fly.
He got on this jet. We were in 4A and B, and he's in 1A and B. And I was just sitting there, and it literally, like an eclipse, like a lunar eclipse. The room got dark. And I looked up, and I went like that. And I went to Donnie. I go, "That's Shaq." She goes, "Who?" I go, "Shaquille O'Neal." How do you? Not to mention the fact he was wearing at the time, I think it was just Shaq.com, not Shaq Fu. He's wearing a T-shirt that said Shaq.com. He wasn't hiding it. And
he's the ultimate brander. I'm sure he was rubbing Icy Hot on his arm, and he probably had some Gold Bond powder on his feet.
Yeah.
Probably was telling you about his insurance. You know, he's got the general insurance. You know, definitely got to make sure you take care of those sponsors with Shaq. So he'll definitely.
I remember on that Orange County chopper, they built him a custom motorcycle. And while they were building it, it didn't really look that bad. But when they got done building it, the guy from Orange County sat on it. and it looked like a little kid sitting on a tricycle. I mean, it was so big. You couldn't even reach the handlebars. They measured him for it.
All of his cars have to be custom fit. One time I had a buddy of mine riding with us, and when you get in the back seat, it was me in the front, my buddy in the back. And when you get in the car with Shaq, there is no sitting behind Shaq because his seat has been custom made to be pushed all the way to the back of the back seat. So there's only one back seat in the back of that Dodge Charger. You know, you can only sit behind the passenger. He's a big human being.
So you interview. So I started to say. So BJ sent me a message that Gentry was interviewing Newt Gingrich, and I go, really? And it was a great interview, by the way, really well done. But so your preparation for that. Now you know you're going to interview Newt Gingrich. Obviously, you have somebody that does the research, or you do the research. I remember all the questions were very timely and informative, and it sounded great. The process for that?
Yeah, you have to put in the work. Definitely research and make sure that I'm prepared, over prepared. I may not be the most talented guy in the world, but I definitely know how to prepare and be ready. So that's what I do. I make sure I research. I make sure I know what's going on. I don't want to sound like an idiot. So
well, you didn't
prepare.
Well, that's like when he did his presentation to Shaq. He did so much homework on Shaq when they actually got to meet, face to face. He knew a lot of Shaq's keywords and what he looked for in a business and things like that. So he was rattling it off, and Shaq was like, "Yeah, that's the way I do business."
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm researching Grouch Day.
The way you lit today, you must be over 55. How old are you, John? Are you over 55?
I am way over 55.
Yeah,
you look good. You look good.
He's kind of like you're the two guys on the show that's actually toured with a national act. You toured with Shaq for a couple of years. He toured with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Yeah. So you guys got some tour stories for sure.
Tour bus stories.
And your dad and I over Leon Redbone. So that'll
Who's that?
Yeah, exactly. Leon Redbone. That was it. But let's talk about that. When you were with Shaq and on the road doing his big DJ massive, are they raves? Is that what they're called? Or they're just
festivals? Mostly they would call them festivals. We did one in San Diego one time. At Kabu, it was called, and the owner of the Lakers was there, Jeannie Buss. I got to hang out with her backstage. We ended up hanging out with the Red Hot Chili Peppers that day because they're big Laker fans. So we went to the Chili Peppers camp and watched Flea and Anthony Kiedis prepare for their big show. That was pretty cool, and I got to stand on the stage with them and watch the show with Jeannie Buss. She's a fun girl to hang around, and we had a lot of fun. We toured the world. I went to China. Pre-pandemic, we went to China. So that was an interesting trip. One thing I took from over there was when you look up in the sky, you don't really see the sun when you go to China. And I remember Shaq telling me, you won't see much sunshine over here. And I'm thinking, well, why is that? Like cloudy days? And they're like, no, the smog and the pollution over there. So you saw big babies. Yeah. I didn't really enjoy China so much. It was more about the experience. Too many people, and no one spoke English. So I felt out of place, but that was cool. Traveled the world. It was a lot of fun.
Only in Shanghai. In Shanghai, I think they have giant fans to push the smog out. So when you're walking along the waterfront in Shanghai, you feel like there's no smog, but there is. Now, your dad tells me a story without using that word where I guess you were doing a big festival in China and you grabbed the mic and screamed, "How the F are you?" and a guy ran up and go, "Oh, you can't say that in China." Is that true?
Oh yeah. You supposedly you can't, if you do something like that, it's like inciting a riot, if you use that kind of language in a live performance. But I don't think Shaq cared much, No, nobody was going to stop him. That's one thing I've also realized that, Shaq, everybody loves Shaq everywhere we go. And he pretty much can do whatever he wants everywhere he goes. Everyone lets him get away with everything, which is, it's good to be Shaq.
Did you fly private to China?
We did. Well, no, we did not fly private to China. We did not. Commercial. But they have really nice lay down seats. It was your own television right in front of you. You get your own cubicle. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to pay that bill. I can tell you that.
10 G's. We never get cruise lines never put us in the front of the plane for that trip. We end up in the back of the plane, but we know what it costs to be in the front of the plane. And that's why we're in the back of the plane. So the day that I'm in the front of the plane, somebody made a very big mistake. Pretty much how that would happen.
They even bring you like hot towels on some tongs. You know, they bring you sherbet to cleanse your palate. You know, I thought that was very nice.
Yeah.
Little trays of hot nuts.
Yeah.
Well, the nuts are always warm.
You try to fly first class domestically and then business class internationally. And a friend of mine says, Tommy, why do you spend that money first class for 2 or 3 hours? I said, because I can't spend the money to go 8 hours. So I like to go first class at least for 3 hours. And then when we go 8 hours or 10 hours, then we try to fly something.
I'd fly coach at this point. I'm just ready to get back to traveling and going to shows, barbecues, and all that stuff. I'm sick of this quarantine stuff.
Yeah, we all are, but unfortunately, it's not going away anytime soon, I think. But well, then again, so you just interviewed, or you're interviewing Rob Reiner?
I interviewed Rob Reiner a couple of days ago. That was good. He was out touting the Pennsylvania Democrats. You know, Hollywood. They love their Democrats out in Hollywood, so everyone's coming on my show to bash Donald Trump at this point. So you know, we let him.
Want me on the show? Do you want me on the show?
Are you doing
That'll be good for you, yeah.
Are you doing a Zoom interview, or is it only Is it only by the phone?
Some of them we've done over Zoom. Most of them we're just doing the old traditional landline telephone interviews.
Oh, okay.
Who'd you do today? Because he did an interview. He texted me, I just got off my interview. I'm getting on now.
Bob Saget came on today. You know,
I love Bob.
His sister died from scleroderma. I hope I'm saying
right. Scleroderma. It's a hardening of the skin.
Yeah, unfortunately, he lost his sister back in the early 90s. And I will say this about Bob. Every time he has come on my show, maybe 3 or 4 times, it's always to promote something that he's doing for a cause. So that's one thing I love about Saget is that he's not always on to tout his book or to tout his hot sauce. He's usually on to tout some kind of charity event that he's involved with. So he is doing one this Sunday night. It's something with Jason Alexander is going to be on it, Howie Mandel is going to be on it, a whole list of A-listers.
Is that a scleroderma benefit?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because I did that in New York with him years ago. It's
yeah,
a big star-studded thing. I mean, I was like, what am I doing here? I'm serious. There was like major stars, and I was on the show because I knew people from Caroline's, I guess.
You're a major star, John.
Yes.
Well, now when you see the people on this show, he can tell you.
It was a laundry list of A-listers that was
right. Exactly.
And does Saget keep the language family friendly when he's on your show?
Not really. No, Saget is not Danny Tanner that you saw on Full House for all those years, or even the nice clean-cut guy on AFV, America's Funniest Videos. You know? I don't know how dirty you get on your show, but I don't.
That's so funny. Whenever I used to see him on that American Video, knowing Bob Saget and how funny he is and how crazy he is, when he'd have to do those stupid jokes that they would write for him, and he would just kind of like make a face like, "Yeah, you want to know what I would have said?" He is funny guy. He is really funny guy.
What you can track this without giving out numbers, but let's say Newt Gingrich to Michael Cohen, who would attract more? Who does more downloads? Is Michael Cohen?
At this point, the Newt Gingrich has gotten more just because it's been out there in the wild, as I say, for a while. The Michael Cohen I just did a couple of weeks ago, so
it was really good. I listened to the whole thing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, if you like bashing Donald Trump, you'll love.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it.
I did. I hate Newt Gingrich. If I had to interview him, I'd go, "Why are you still relevant? You lost. Go away." Every time I see him on TV, that's what I say.
Here we go.
With a name like Newt, though, you know, that's an interesting name.
Yeah, what kind of parent looks at a kid and goes, "I'm going to name you Newt"?
But Newt has gotten more traction so far than Michael Cohen, but there's still time. These things live out on the internet forever, these interviews. I think that's what's also kind of cool about them. When I did terrestrial radio and live radio, there's something to say about that. It's very exciting. You're on live, but a lot of times those moments end up getting lost in that day because you didn't roll tape, or back in the day, we didn't really have a way to keep track of them, or your tapes got old. But nowadays, it's like you do an interview with Rob Reiner. Now it lives out on the internet in the wild for my grandkids, hopefully, to hear at some point one day.
So that's so cool.
Yeah, I like this new world that we're involved with.
What I've told them too, it is a new world because you went into Muddy Country and Shaq Fu with the old radio mentality, and you learn quick that the old radio mentality of getting advertisers and stuff doesn't work as well. You need the clicks, you need the promotion, all that.
Yeah, and I learned it takes money to make money. You have to spend a lot of money to market this material out there. And it's all about the clicks in the digital world. It used to be more about the content, and you had to be funny and you had to create killer content. Now it's more about what's the slug that you can put out on the internet that's going to get everyone to click it. Who's the celebrity you can get on that's hot that people are clicking? What's the content that people are talking about today that's trending? So it's
so funny that you're saying this, because I was telling them that, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I started on this TikTok, right? Just as an experiment. And I posted this one video, a 1 minute thing of my act of this bar stool. It got like 517,000 hits, like in a week.
Wow.
Then I posted another one and it got 343,000 hits, which was another stupid video. My best video that I have, I posted, I had 56 hits. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you don't know what's...
It doesn't. Yeah, you never know what could work on any given day that's going to get shared. That people.
So it must be the same thing with that too, right? That whole internet thing is so not predictable, right?
It's what Gentry said. It's about marketing.
Yeah.
Gentry told me way back when, you can put a bag of crap, but as long as they click on it, you'll make money. So I went out and put together.
Thank you. Maybe that's what the T-shirt should have said.
The big bag of crap. What's your plan? I'm on the big bag of crap. Monday through Friday. But it is all about that, and I have yet to master that.
I think it's fascinating. I mean, I just think it's like a fascinating thing that it's so hard to figure out, you know?
Well, your dad and I talked about this as far as pretty much trading in market share, or trading in people watching, right? And marketing is so you move people over to it's like a futures market, a stock market. It's a whole different language. It's unbelievable anymore.
On these websites in the back end, they use a program called WordPress where you can tag your content. And we found that we just tag things with election, Trump, whatever the keywords are, the content may not even be about that. It's a game that they play on the back end where people are just trying to find the trigger words that people are searching. And then you give Google money and you give Yahoo money. And, it is like a day trading world of how much are people willing to pay for this space. And it's like real estate. We want the real estate that's at the top.
That's what my son does, digital advertising, for major companies. It's crazy. It's like a whole other world that we didn't. Yeah.
These insurance companies, Jay Farner of Rocket Mortgage, I love that guy. He spends a lot of money in digital advertising. Geico, all the big insurance companies, the home improvement stores. They drop, millions of dollars in digital advertising every year. Which it blows me away. I'm just happy just to get a little piece of that pie.
Yeah. Wonder if I can send them a card. Well, what are you gonna do? So who do you know who's coming up like weeks in advance? I know you just did Kevin Costner. He talked about music on a.
Yeah. He has a band. I wish I could remember the name of the band. It's Kevin Costner and his band. I can't remember the name, but he plays like Western kind of Southern rock sounding stuff, and he's got that show out on Paramount Network called Yellowstone, which has gotten a lot of people watching it. I haven't watched it, but he was telling me about that, and he loves music, and we talked about some of his classic movies and how they're still relevant today. I think he's one of the great actors of our time. Really good.
I agree. Plenty of great movies. So
as far as who's coming up, though, I do have a couple of on the books. I got Ed Asner coming on, who's 90 years old. So that'll be interesting. I can't wait to talk to him.
Before the election?
Before the election.
Yeah, of course.
And then I also have Al Roker on coming up too.
Okay. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. But Ed's coming on to just hammer Trump.
That's how Roker doesn't lose any more weight before the interview. You won't be able to find them.
Yeah. That's very cool.
I kind of liked him as Fat Al Roker.
Yeah, he looks like looked like a different person, right?
And what is Al? Is Al peddling something, or he's just building up the Today Show?
I think he's talking about that third hour of Today. I believe. I have to go over the show notes, but I can't remember. It's coming up next week. I try to focus on what I got today. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to talk about on your show.
Well, you're doing fine. I worry about it about 5 minutes to 10. I go, okay, here we go. And make sure your dad's here. And John's lighting is relatively good. And everybody.
I want to ask John a question if I could.
Yeah.
Asking questions. You toured with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Were you touring with them when the incident happened at Kent State when Ford died in Ohio? Because I've heard that story, and it's with the times we're under today, that story seems to come up now.
No, I started touring with them in like '84, I guess, right when David got out of jail. On his well, that was a really crazy thing too. David was had a gun permit forever, for his whole life for personal protection, legal gun. At 12:01, the night it expired in Texas, they came in and arrested him because it hadn't been renewed. And he says it saved his life because he was pretty screwed up on drugs at the time. And but I heard the whole story about how they wrote it, and they were, Neil Young wrote it. They were driving back and just called them and said, "Listen, you got to turn on the news. This is what happened. Meet in the studio tonight." And told Graham to start writing lyrics, and it's pretty amazing story, They great people. You should get Graham Nash on your show.
That'd be great. Book it.
Hey,
I will. I can. I'll call. I'm trying to get him on our show.
First.
I will. I was waiting for the show to run a little bit smoother before I had him.
Good luck on that. Every day when the Zoom comes on, I wonder what anybody's going to.
I know. Well, that's the whole thing. It's like I don't want to really call him and go, "Hey, listen, can you do the show?" And then all of a sudden we have a problem. But we've been running pretty smooth the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so everything's looking pretty good, especially Dottie. He's definitely the best looking one of this bunch.
Thank you, Gentry.
And she has such nice skin. That's what every guest says. She has beautiful skin.
We'll let you get on to the next guest. We're going to get on to ours. John has brought the next guest on. He's the founder of the largest novelty company in the world. So that's going to be exciting. And I was going to say goodbye and thank you to him.
Here I am.
You're there, John. Take you over.
Okay, this is Warren Berkowitz. He's a good friend, and let me introduce you everyone. That Tom Drake is in the shirt waving. He is a stand-up comedian, and we've known each other for God knows how many years. And then that's Dottie Kalasa, legendary cruise director. Cult leader. People take cruises just because she's the cruise director. And this is BJ Odom, but a very successful radio career, and now he's here. So it's the end of the line. And you and I have known each other for years.
Yeah, and we heard all about it. The 10,000 hands that you ordered. And having seen John's act many times, I've seen that hand many times. Isn't this the coolest thing in shop? No, just kidding.
He really goes out on a limb with that act.
Warren, besides owning, was the owner of Forum Novelties, also knows as many jokes as Jackie Martley. He was the ultimate salesman. So give us the whole story with Forum, how it started.
Well, it's a strange story. I've always had this passion for business in general. And if anybody who knows anything about magic, you're either bit by the bug or you're not. And it's kind of a disease that no one can quite control. And as a young kid, I was bit by it and loved doing magic as a kid. And of course, did the children's shows, to make a few extra dollars as a teenager. But I always kind of combined that with my passion for business. So it came a point at which that I started selling magic, and I was selling it first in flea markets, and I was still in high school, started up doing it and enjoyed, I guess, overall a bit of a ham. So demonstrating and selling the magic kind of went together. Then I started to realize that as I wanted to go into college and everything, I wouldn't have time to do this. So I actually started putting the magic, and then what went along with magic, quite frankly, was the joke items. And these are always the same people importing it. And
on your shirt.
Exactly.
I was noticing that.
Chattering teeth and nose glasses.
Yeah, it was a gift. It was a gift to me from a very good friend of mine, a customer. But it was a crazy thing, and so gags and jokes and magic went together. So I started something a little different. I started putting the jokes and the magic in what was in New York, growing up in New York, what used to be called candy stores and luncheonettes and card and gift stores. And I left it there in consignment, and whatever they sold, I give them part of the profits. So I was able to go to college, which was a local college, and make money on the side. So it kind of started that way. And then from there, I morphed into wholesale. And from wholesale, I started designing my own product. And it just kind of was a passion. I actually went from college. I have a degree in accounting. And then I went on to law school and practiced law for a number of years.
I never knew you even practiced law. I thought.
Practiced. Yeah, I practiced it for a number of years. Of course, then it got to the point where it's funny because I knew I had the right woman when I married my my wife. We would sit home in my this business. By the way, started with one shelf in my mother's basement and $100. And from there, it kind of grew to the point that it kept growing. But I know when I started dating what became my wife for now 40 years, is that we started doing stuff together and putting jokes together and magic together. And ultimately, when we both graduated and I went out to practice law for a law firm and my wife is a physical therapist, we would basically finish our day and then go back to my mother's house and pack some orders. And so from there, it was a small little business. It went from there to kind of all kinds of different directions. The same people that were in the magic and joke business were also in the Halloween business. And the Halloween business back in the 70s was really a child's trick-or-treat kind of business until a Saturday Night Fever came out. And then people with discos, where adults were starting to dress up. And I found that to be an interesting combination. And I started selling to these party stores. And I put a lot of them into the business of selling Halloween items for adults, bunny ears and cat ears and all kinds of stuff that they could wear to disco. And that business kept growing. And I love designing product. That's my passion. I love coming up with ideas. And it kind of grew nicely. And from there, we were working double shifts, working full-time jobs, practicing law, performing the physical therapy, and then off to pack orders. And from there, it slowly grew, and opportunities came up. An elder gentleman, this one in particular, had a business. He was up in New York. He was probably in his 80s. He wanted to retire, and one of the things he did was he made these Groucho glasses. Now he didn't invent them, but he made them, and he would get the black frames from Italy and the noses from Italy. And then, so he wanted to close up. And so I wound up buying his stock and some of his machinery. It was a little hand stapler. And he told me that I would have to go out to the Fur District in Manhattan and buy the reject black rabbit pelts. And what we did was we took these pelts that were rejects, couldn't be made into coats or anything, or minks in those days. And we would cut 1-inch strips of eyebrows and noses, and we glued them onto these frames and noses. So I was making what we call Groucho glasses. In those days we called them fuzzy puss, but they kind of they had many different names. And so I was making those, and little by little I was making all kinds of silly stuff. And I actually made one of my crazy ideas. I took this idea and made a giant version with jumbo sunglasses and a big nose, and all kinds of crazy stuff. So little by little I kept heading on, and I knew that success in this business was going to be if I could design my own product and have something that no one else had. And I guess that's true of any business. Otherwise, you're just another guy out there. So I was selling magic and jokes, and the Halloween business was growing.
Do you have there? I should have brought them out. Do you have any of your catalog? They just have to see how big this. It's not like their catalogs are like the size of like small phone books.
Yeah, the business kind of it is. It's amazing. There's different books for Halloween. I mean, I love designing product. Not every product I made, though, quite frankly, was a success. I will tell you. Sometimes my sense of humor is a little bit out there.
Let me ask you that. I'm curious about that. What was the most popular novelty that you yourself came up with the idea for?
Oh, and I can't take 100% credit for it, but it was given to me as an idea. And one of the best items we ever made was fart spray. It's an aerosol. It's a little pump spray that smells.
Yeah.
I must tell you a story about the fart spray.
Yes.
I had a little magic shop and novelty shop in a flea market probably 10, 20 years ago. And I got the fart spray. And it was like one of my biggest sellers. And finally, the people from the flea market said, "You got to quit selling that. These kids are running around spraying this stuff all over."
I know. Yeah, occupational hazard. Yeah, we tried. And by the way, I guess not everything we made was a success. We tried to make barf spray and locker room spray and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's funny because the more I got involved in this thing, the less I wanted to really practice law full time. So I always kid around saying is I gave up jury duty for fake dog duty. And
he calls me up one day and he goes, "I got the greatest idea for a new product." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Fake dog do with homework in it." Because you go, my dog ate my homework.
I can't take credit for that. It actually was designed by a gentleman by the name of Michael Holly, who's a very proficient juggler. And I actually paid him royalty on that. But we took the fake dog do, which, by the way, the best fake dog do still comes from Spain. I know. It's bizarre to think that there's a market there, but and it comes in duty free, as they say, from Spain. But it was his idea with that, and then I put little pieces of loose leaf paper in it, and we called it fake. The dog ate my homework. And that was I wanted to come up with little pieces of corn, but I think that's probably over the line.
I'm guessing you have a warehouse, Warren. Where is it, and how many employees do you have working for you?
Well, I sold the company 20 years ago to another company. I just recently retired from the company. But yeah, it's that grew to a tremendous. We always joke around about it. I wanted to sell to the circus industry a giant version of the dog do called pachyderm poop, but no one really bought into that idea either. So,
but the offices were. I mean, I remember I met you at your office one day, and I just could not believe the office was like the size of a Walmart. The offices.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, yeah. With Halloween and everything else, it morphed into a much bigger business. I mean, obviously, the joke and trick business is a small part of it. It's ultimately expanded into other areas, party goods, and everything. I say when people say, "What do you sell?" I said, "Nothing you need." I said, my mantra was always like, "If you need it, I don't have it." Selling things.
You always said that. Warren, do you have it? Do you need it? Yeah, I don't have that problem.
You may want it, but you don't need it. But I'm happy to say that I kind of went through my life making people smile, and so that's not a bad thing to have as on your tombstone when you ultimately have to go.
What would you say, like in counting office people? Everybody, how many employees were there at one time?
Oh, gee, in the office as many as 25. In the warehouse, probably an equal amount, and then a lot of outside reps and things. And we transcended a lot of different industries. We sold to amusement parks and party goods stores, and of course there are no gag and joke and magic shops really around anymore. That's a bit of a history lesson, but it's unfortunate because, as I say, everybody could use a good laugh, especially in today's world. But it's tough to really afford the rents and things like that. So, but we've expanded into that. And of course, the internet sells product too. It's kind of you have to change with the times, and all you just keep trying to do is find and make people smile and laugh and forget their troubles for a little while. I say nothing I have is really necessary.
And you used to have to go to China for months at a time, right?
That's one of my funny things. Yes, I must have been to China 30, 40 times over the course of the years, and visiting these factories that produce product to me is always kind of an ironic thing, because here are these nice, and by the way, my factories I dealt with were all very respectable and professional, and all complied with laws. We tested every product that came out of every factory into America, so we never took any chances with that. But my favorite is probably walking into the one factory that made rubber chickens, and I'm watching them paint these rubber chickens, and it was a very sophisticated system. One person would paint the yellow, and then they'd pass it to the person who would paint the eyes, and then it would go on. And I'm just thinking to myself, these people are looking at me and saying, "Who buys this stuff?" You know? And
like if you put in a rubber order chicken, how many is that?
I probably I've said thousands of them, but maybe I probably buy 5,000 at a time. You know, it was and no foul language either. Yeah.
you used to have to design all those masks and stuff, right? A lot of the masks all came from there, right?
Yeah, sure. Masks were a very big business when Halloween started. It's become less and less of the important part because we don't have to cover their face so much. But yeah, and the same fabric is made out of latex, so and then of course you had to be careful with the quality of everything because an item with joke items and magic in particular, if it doesn't work or it doesn't look good, it's useless. So I to think that you actually have quality control in my industry is kind of a strange thing to say. But
yeah, because you've had products that look perfect until you got them back, right?
Oh, we've had our share,
I mean, like everybody, it worked perfect. You go, because I remember you going, this is what it looked like when I sent it over. This is what came back.
Oh, yeah. Well, some of the factories overseas don't quite understand anything other than copying exactly what you give them. I made a point of not copying someone else's product, but sometimes I had an item that I wanted to change factories from one place. One place may have gone out of business, but I'll never forget that I had a sample of, I forgot the item, but I had a Velcro dot on the back of it and put that on the wall for the showroom. And then the factory closed down, so I had to send my only sample to another factory. And sure enough, they produced and put a Velcro dot on the back of it.
Yeah.
I got to ask you then, for a while, I guess it's still popular for Halloween, Mask of the Presidents. And I would think that the Bill Clinton mask would be the most popular. Am I wrong? Of all of Reagan?
Nixon.
Nixon.
Nixon was the most popular mask that I ever sold. Yeah.
How about that, huh?
Yeah.
I just because I know Halloween, you'd see everybody running around wearing that. Well, Tricky Dick. So that would.
There's no explanation for any of this stuff. But I mean, as a guy who, and by the way, I don't like to play practical jokes. I think I may have played one as a teenager in my life, but I kind of like, I love this. I don't make fun of anybody. I mean, that's really terrible, but you can appreciate some of the artistry of some of these things. There's an item called a money snatcher, which the magicians know as a reel, and it's a reel that pulls out. And I can tell you, as when I first started out, we would attach a dollar bill to it, and it's got a visible thread, and you'd leave it on the floor, and you'd wait for someone to come by to try and pick it up. And when they reach down, you pull the string back, and it would reel back into your hand, and you'd watch the face of these people, and
So you never took whoopee cushion into the courtroom?
No. I never did. I actually, when I practiced law, on a full time, you would not know me as that person. I was a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I always two sides of me. I guess I'm,
kind of like Superman. When the day's over, off comes the coat down into mom's basement.
That's exactly right.
Honey, get to the shelf. We got
right. Like Clark Kent, I put the glasses on, but my glasses had a nose and mustache.
But now that you're retired, are you back to performing at all?
Not yet. It's only a current retirement, so I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. It's
that feeling.
Yeah,
John.
I mean, you got to be willing though with a business like this to take chances.
Big chances,
right? Big chances because you go, oh, this is a great object, and then it could be a dud, right?
Oh, I know. I believe me. I have a whole. I call my Hall of Shame. As a Hall of Fame. It's some things again I thought were hysterical, but some people just didn't get the joke. I wanted to make a costume for a pregnant woman because there's not really a lot of costumes out there for women who are pregnant and want to dress up for Halloween. I mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with it. Not to make fun of them, but just to have. So I thought I was going to come out with a costume. So I made a costume up with a woman's belly and it had a window in it, and inside was a little baby, and I called it a womb with a view. And no one bought it. No one got it. You know, I've said some things are just for me. You know.
When you sold the business, did you tell the buyers, I'll throw that section in over there, no charge?
Yeah.
I'll sweeten the pot. Over there, I got one with a view, and I got the glasses with two noses.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Last year at Halloween, a woman came trick-or-treating to my door, right, with a little kid. And she had on a T-shirt, but it looked like there was something under the T-shirt. And she was obviously pregnant. And I said, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, what is under your T-shirt? And she goes, and she got all embarrassed. She goes, I work for Universal in special effects. And today we do something for Halloween. And I could show you this, but it may freak you out. And I was like, no, I want to see. And she lifted up her shirt, and on her pregnant belly, there were hands coming out. It's like ripping open, and you could see like a part of the head. She goes, I know, it's really horrible.
Oh my God.
And she goes, that's why I got this shirt over it. I go, it's amazing. Can I take a picture? I took a picture. And then the next year she came back with the new baby, which was kind of cool.
People draw the line. Yeah, people draw the line in different places.
Well, that's what she did for a living, you know, special effects.
BJ?
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet you had the opposite effect, though. I bet you made some things you go, this thing is never going to sell. And then it became like a huge item.
You just never know. And, you know, like I said, it's a strange thing. And things, of course, sometimes you come across an item that gets hot because something comes up on TV or in the movies, and it becomes a popular character or something. You know, it could be anything. You know, zombies became very popular when TV shows started having a lot of zombie stuff. And, you know, an item could have been around for 20 years and all of a sudden became, you know, pop. But the word novelty, it really speaks it all. It's like, if it's not novel, or it's going to be good today, may not be novel tomorrow. And you got to constantly make new product. You're constantly changing things up and just hoping for the best. But, you know, you do it long enough. I mean, I'm doing over 40 years. It gets to a point where you kind of get a good feeling. But again, there are plenty of times I've been wrong, you know.
When you went to China, you had a translator? You don't speak Chinese, right? Or
I speak the international language, money.
Okay.
That's they're very good. I actually, most of my contacts were in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And Hong Kong, of course, is a wonderful city, international, for many years controlled by the British. So they all spoke English. And yes, I did take some of those people with me into China. Many years, most of the business came from Hong Kong. It's only in the last 10 years or so when China opened up where you actually went into China. A lot of it was a lot of stuff was produced in Hong Kong in the early years. And it was so refreshing. Of course, before that, it was Europe. It was Italy and Germany. And a lot of countries there that we originally used to go to the Nuremberg, the International Toy Fair, and there would be a lot of companies there. But nowadays, most stuff comes out of China.
I just, you know, everyone I think assumes it's all made in China. When you said that the best dog do comes out of Spain, I've had some paella. I can't argue that point, but you don't put it. Everybody assumes when you're in you know, I'm just thinking, you know, it's a shame the novelty stores have gone by the wayside a little bit, but the as seen on TV stores have kind of replaced that. You go into those as seen on TV places and they have these gadgets. When you said, I sell stuff you don't need, right? That's the stuff. Most of the stuff in as seen on TV stores are stuff you don't need, but you walk out of there because you've always wanted a 6-handed spoon or whatever the hell it is. You know, my wife loves it in there, and it's a shame that the novelty stores are.
Are there people that collect stuff? Like, I'm looking at your chattering teeth. Now, I remember those when I was a kid. They came out, so there must be like 30 versions of that, right? Like upgrades.
Yeah, chattering teeth is one of them. Of course, fart items have morphed from a simple whoopee cushion to electronic versions where with remote control parts to it.
Which I use at my seance.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, if we only could focus that kind of intelligence and ingenuity something that people could really use, it would be wonderful to think that someone came up with the idea of a remote control fart machine. Is like it's pretty bizarre.
With an app, right? You have to have
And
an
it's also sound activated.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There's a great comic in Florida, J. David Howard, and he lived for practical jokes. He carried a whoopee cushion wherever he went. He carried noisemakers. He had the remote control that we put in a planter at a Denny's restaurant as people were waiting to get served, and the planter would say, "You're an ugly lady." All right, whatever. And the people would be looking around going, "Where the hell is it?" You'd be sitting in the booth laughing, and but I was always uncomfortable, like you. I was always uncomfortable embarrassing people in that way, but not G.
Remember I remember so many of those gigs when I was a kid, those Ludes cigarettes. It came in a little tin. You put them in somebody's cigarette and blew up their face.
As a teenager, when I was in the flea markets, that was one of my
big sellers, right?
More profitable ideas. I didn't make that stuff. I just bought it. It came in a little tin, and it was like 10 little pieces. It actually, as I found out years later, was just a piece of balsa wood that they must have dipped in some kind of chemical.
It's like the size of a piece of rice.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And what I did was I took them out of the tin, and I went out and bought, in those days, the cheapest cigars I could possibly buy. And I think they were like a nickel a piece back in the 70s. And I never smoked in my life, so I don't know. But like it had to be really bad quality. And I would take one cigarette load and stick it in the cigar and sell exploding cigars because for whatever reason, they weren't on the market. And I was paying like a nickel from and selling for a quarter. Now, as a teenager, that was 500% profit. As I said, it's this all one of the if there ever was a lesson that I could teach anybody who wants to go into any business, regardless of whether it's the joke business or not, is that I never let money focus my passion. I did it because I love the game, and whatever money I made just helped me grow the business. And I never really cared. Like I could say, I laugh about it now that I would go from some candy stores and drive 10 miles to where I put up a rack and make $5. And, that's between my, just something to do. I just never thought twice. But the opportunities came to me as years went by. A lot of people were aging out and getting a little bit older, and they wanted to retire. And somehow they found me. One of my crazy stories is I was still in my mother's house working, and of course I slowly consumed her complete basement, and it wasn't exactly a big house. And then a guy was going out of business who made novelty toilet paper, crossword puzzles and connect the dots and games for the John, it was called. And he said he was going out of business. I said, "Oh, that's not nice." He said, "I'll tell you what, I'll just sell you the whole rights for a small amount of money." So I said, "Okay." And he gave me the name of this factory that actually produced toilet paper and would print on it for him. So the minimums were like 5,000 rolls of toilet paper. What did I know? So I ordered like 4 styles. So one day the guy knocks on my mother's door. There's a truck with 20,000 rolls of toilet paper. I didn't know where to put these things. It was just
Did you eventually sell them all?
Oh yeah, sure.
During the pandemic.
They wiped me out.
Yeah. Yeah, BJ got it right. Can you imagine if he had them now during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you that is semi-true because years later, different manufacturing being made overseas now. But this past year, when COVID hit and there was a shortage of toilet paper, we were doing a lot of business in Las Vegas in the souvenir business, and I had about 5,000 rolls of money printed toilet paper. Look, not real money, but it looked like a fake dollar bill. And my salesman says, I could sell that toilet paper. They just want it for toilet paper. And I says, well, I'm not going to upcharge. I mean, it was a perfect opportunity. It was like a stock market. You charge everything you want for it. I said, no. I said, the price is the same whether it was last year or this year. And we went through
everything you had.
Every roll of toilet paper we had.
Yeah. You stepped in it.
Wish I'd have known you then. I would have ordered some for sure.
Amazing.
That's so
Absolutely
funny.
amazing. Well, we want to thank you so much, John. When John called me, he goes, "You're not going to believe how I got on the show." He always does it. It was so excited that he agreed to come on the show. One of the things that this show is all about is interesting guests. I always say, kind of like CBS Sunday Morning without Jane Pauley or a budget. And to talk to somebody, especially the entrepreneurial part of it, to say, I love what you said about just don't worry about them making money. Actually, I know John got into Comedy Magic because he loved it. Well, magic first, money came later. I was a salesman, all kinds of jobs, became a stand-up in my 30s because I love stand-up. Never really thought about whether I'd make a living at it. And my wife's been a cruise director for 31 years, and she would probably take a pay cut if she had to. She still loves it. And BJ was in radio for 40 years because he absolutely loved it. There's plenty of other things he could have done to make less. No, make
more.
And it's so great to hear that. And now, so you're all done. You're not involved at all. You're just taking feet up, trying to.
Yeah, like I said, I'm thinking through what the next stage of my crazy life is. I've gone through so many phases of it, but we'll see. We'll see. As I say, I always used to be. I explain myself as, if you remember the old Ed Sullivan show, I was the plate spinner. I was constantly doing 10 things at once, and so we'll see. It's a change for me, but everything happens, for a reason, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Well,
Jackie went to him one time about his joke boxes. Remember Jackie was telling us about the joke box?
Oh yeah, if you got a minute, I'll take. So yeah, they're not on the market much anymore. But there was a thing where it was almost like a 3-dimensional greeting card. It was a box with a cover, and you would give them out for parties. Someone was reaching over the hill or something like that, and you didn't know what to give them as a little funny gift. So they were a little box with, you'd open it up and there'd be something on the cover that would be an innuendo, and on the inside would be something completely different. Like one of them was how to raise a dog, and when you open up, a hot dog would pop up and things like that. But some of them are a little bit more off color than others. We never really went. Nowadays they say anything on TV, but in those days we never really went that far. But I designed a bunch of them. One of them, probably my favorite, was, I don't know if you ever see, if you went to a doctor, or a oncologist or someone, they had these little rubber finger cots that they have on their finger. So, it looked like a little miniature condom to me. So I put a box out and it says, I couldn't afford to buy you a condominium. Here's a minimum condom. So, oh yeah. So all kinds of silly stuff like that we've done over the course of the years. And but that business is really gone. I get it. It's too, no one needs anything subtle anymore. Everything is right out there. And, just everybody knows everything.
Well, they get a lot of money for those cards in the stores that have voice active. When you open it, it says something, it sings something. You look at the numbers now. Greeting cards are crazy. Just
I know the price of them.
$10 for a greeting.
I have one last quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this Spirit Halloween, right? That had nothing to do with Forum, right? That was like a competitor.
No, they're a customer.
They are a customer.
They're actually, because they like Spencer Gift.
Don't they rebrand everything as theirs, right?
Yes, a lot of people do who want private label. Right. They want to have their own. They want to have their own name, and so they put it out. And it makes things, I guess, more proprietary when you have your own name to it.
Because when I went in there, I'm going, this was a Forum novelty product. I recognize this, and then it had Spirit Halloween labels on it.
Yeah, something we've sold them stuff, and then we've packaged it any way they want. We never had a problem. Whatever customer wants.
Was Adams your competition, or did they buy a lot of stuff from you and put the Adam label on it?
I'm sorry, who?
Adams, wasn't it? Adams.
SS Adams. Well, that's a kind of a mixed thing. First of all, they've been around since the turn of the 1900s. Wonderful companies. An old story. I think there are books written about Sam Adams, or I think whoever was the original gentleman. I used to, when I first started out, I would buy product from them because they were manufacturing stuff in Neptune, New Jersey. Years went by, generations took over, and at one point, I was making some product for them. But they were basically, I would say, a competitor in the joke business, yes, but also a supplier and a customer.
Did you get your stuff from there, BJ?
I got it from. Usually, I got it from people that, sold the magic shops. So some of it was Adams, some of it was other things. Probably some of it was Forum. I just didn't know for sure.
You still have some? You still have some in the back room?
Nope.
Never.
I had a big gigantic sale, and then what I didn't sell, I sold at a yard sale. But that was fun, though. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I had that store for probably 2 years at a flea market, and I really, it was fun. It was a fun little gig, to sell all those jokes and stuff.
You're either touched by this business or not. I can tell you there are plenty of people that walk by me at gift shows and looked at me and shook their head, not understanding any of it. And
I used to know those
and
big
then you
trade
spray
shows,
the fart
right?
spray as they walk by.
yeah. It's like I said, you either get it or you don't. I think.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how many cans of that I sold to the flea market. Told me I couldn't do it.
What did it sell for? What did you get for it?
It was like $2.99.
Oh.
Yeah, there was different versions of it. We actually, it's funny. Things have to go into a new format. Originally, they were aerosol, but then when it became difficult to ship things by aerosol via UPS and FedEx, that we changed it to a pump spray. In other words, you have to adapt to this business.
Yeah. It's nothing better than a liquid fart. Nothing better than that.
Yeah.
That makes your day.
You to see the days we had to carry out the research. Yeah, give it spray. That smell okay? No, this one's a little bit too strong.
Yeah.
And another thing, I'll bet you on a good weekend at the flea market, it was like Fort Myers. It wasn't a giant flea market, but I'll bet you I would sell close to 20 or 30 fart machines on a weekend.
Yeah.
Without even breaking a sweat.
Fart machines or fart spray?
Fart machines, the spray, I would order that like every week. I'd order 6 dozen almost.
I got to tell you, I learned something new about you every day, BJ. I always knew you were a radio veteran. I had no idea you were a fart machine peddler.
My favorite part with going to Forum Novelties was just looking at the crap on Warren's desk. He had it was like going to through a kid's toy box.
It's after a while you start to say to yourself, I can't believe anybody would buy this stuff. But you look at it, but anything with farts for some reason tickles the fancy of most people. And I actually wrote a book called Life's a Gas, which is a book about farts. And I've written books about puns called The Cruel and Unusual Punishments. And I just, it just kind of it tickles me to stay, involved.
It's interesting about how you have to, what do you do now? I'm a part-time fart spray tester at the Forum Novelties. Somebody, the girls at the department store, want to put this on? No, okay, no. No, I already gave it the office. I'm good. Thank you very much. So,
yeah, we give everybody a little bit of chili and beans for lunch, and then we test it 2 hours later.
Compare.
Then you know if it's genuine. There's only one way to take care of it that way.
Right.
What a way to end this glorious. Hey, how was that last hour? Smell. Did it smell? It was great. We can't thank you enough. I mean, really, really lots of fun. And I'm sure that people watching and listening enjoyed it too. And I never really, it's funny. Halloween must still be big because these empty stores in the beginning of October, the big banner goes up, Halloween store, and they bring it in and they have it for the month of October. They make a deal with the landlord and they load everything, bring racks in. And you think with the pandemic though, do you sense that it's going to slow down because people aren't going to be trick-or-treating?
I think anybody the same person who knows what's going to happen to the stock market in the next 30 days probably knows the answer to that. It's just, I can make arguments in all directions. We hope, of course, it's going to be it's a fun holiday and it's going to continue. But you're right. There goes through times when 9/11 hit was a tough time. People were not exactly in the mood to party. Yeah. And then there are other times when people just go out and just celebrate. It's bizarre. You can't figure it out. Your timing is everything. But yeah, let's hope it's going to be good. All we want is a safe country and a safe world, and hopefully this too shall pass, as they say. But people say you should make jokes about COVID. I said there is nothing funny about this COVID virus.
Well, Marley has one. Jackie has one. I can't remember completely. Guy
raps in the door and he says, "Hey, I'd like to go meet my wife. She's out in the back in the garden." Guy comes back in and goes, "There's nobody in the garden." He goes, "Dig deeper."
You have to dig down a little bit.
That answers the question. What's over the line? That's over the line.
Anything with Marley's over the line. One thing we know is that Halloween is like a cyclical, but fart spray is year round. That's
that's right.
That's like an evergreen in the business.
That's
You
right.
have too much fart spray. We thank you very much.
Thanks, Warren.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure meeting you all.
Yeah, nice meeting you. I just now in the back of my head, I'm saying, I wonder how much of his stuff I bought.
That put 3 kids through college, 3 weddings, and now 5 grandchildren. So we're thankful for all of that.
Oh, very good.
The house that dog crap built.
That's right.
All right. We'll sneak out of here. We want to thank you again for joining us. And where's the music? There it is. Little music. We'll save it tomorrow. We have Dr. Philippe Spies tomorrow, Jackie Marley tomorrow, Joe Silky tomorrow, Mike Grief tomorrow, and Peter Bales tomorrow. Big show tomorrow. We thank you again, Warren. You have a great day, and everyone else have a good day. And thanks to everybody up there, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
See you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, John. Bye, John.
Bye.